It's another episode of New Music Today here on the WePodcast Network. I'm Corey Robertson. Classic rock. It's a term that really kind of comes from radio that they invented back in the 80s, but there's just something about that as a phrase. Rock music that's classic. And that's what we're focused on here today, classic rock and maybe even classic covers. Very pleased to be joined in the basement for another basement session here by Chaos Cartel. Boys,
thank you.
Thanks very much for joining. We got Aaron, Rob, and Rob make up, and I think we're missing one. Yeah, we don't have room on the stage for drummers.
Yeah. That's perfectly fine.
Yeah. So I know as a band, Chaos Cartel, you're new coming together, but have you known each other for a while?
Well, to start off, I've known this gentleman here, Rob. My first cover band that I was ever in was a little band called Smart Aleck. And this gentleman was my first bass player. This is going back in the early 90s. So I've known this Rob the longest. And as far as this Rob, I've only known for a couple of years now. But I don't know, you could maybe fill in how we kind of got together, I guess.
I got a call from, or actually a Facebook inbox from Dennis.
Yeah.
And he said that he was looking for a guitar player. And I'm like, hey, I've wanted to work with him.
Yeah.
So I gave him a call after about a week.
Yeah.
And we talked, and he put me through an interview. and then we just started jamming. It's been a year of jamming and going through different musicians, and we finally getting to this core right here. So.
Nice, very, very good. So you guys kind of have some history, and Rob, you're kind of new to the group. Yeah. I know a lot of you can already feel it, just a lot of history, a lot of experience in this room, and I come from some different backgrounds. But you know, Rob, you played in a ton of bands around the county and in the city, and certainly you'd spent some time with Local Honey and a few other different kind of bands. Yeah. How long have you been professionally? How long have you been making money off of playing the guitar?
Making money, probably about 15 years.
Wow.
And how much money is that about?
About $15?
$35 or something?
Yeah, something like that.
You're a pro.
In tips, that's it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It takes a while to get up to that $50 mark.
Right. Yeah. So sort of classic rock is that a good way for me to describe what you guys are really as a band when you're going to do a full show? Is that a good way for me to describe it?
I'd say that our roots are classic rock.
Sure.
But as far as what we play and stuff, I think it's a mixture of a lot of songs.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's never enough songs, right? You can always learn more, right?
Yeah.
It's just never enough. And
rock is at the forefront, but we all have our roots in metal.
That's right.
Personally, like growing up myself, I was put a hole in my vein, and metal is going to come out instead of blood. Yeah, it's, I think Rob's is pretty much the same thing. I mean, if you couldn't tell with the long hair, I still rock out the Iron Maiden haircut.
Put them in the Iron Maiden.
But this band though, it's about self-indulgence.
Okay.
We're not really like bands that we were in before. It was more about, I don't know if it's getting people to dance. Well, we're
playing what a lot of the bar owners wanted us to play.
Yeah.
Them telling us,
so now
dictating.
it's like, you know what, we're going to play what we want to play.
There you go.
And we'll get people out on the dance floor too.
Absolutely.
So it'll work.
Absolutely. And honestly, that's the way music ought to be. Right. Yeah. I got to play. Look, sometimes you got to write the corporate jingle. Sometimes you got to play what the guy who's writing the check wants to play. But really, that's for me, art in general, music specifically, it's what's in your heart. Mm-hmm. Right. And certainly there's different days where, I feel a different thing. Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Let me get one of my favorites, one of my favorite songs. And then you guys, I think, are going to start with this one. So this is Chaos Cartel, and this is their cover of Marshall Tucker Band's "Oh Can't You See?" And it's right here on New Music Today on the WePodcast Network.
Gonna take a freight train down at the station, and I don't care where it goes. Gonna climb me a mountain, the highest mountain low. Gonna jump, nobody gonna know. Can't you see? Can't you see what that woman been doing to me? Can't you see? Can't you see what that woman she's been doing to me? Gonna find me a little hole in the wall. Gonna crawl inside and die. Well, that lady, that mean old woman, Lord, never told me goodbye. Can't you see? Can't you see what that woman she's been doing to me? Can't you see? Can't you see what that woman she's been doing to me? I'm gonna find it now as far as I can, and I ain't never coming back. I'm taking southbound all the way to Georgia now, till the train come out of tracks. Can't you see? Can't you see what that woman she been doing to me? Can't you see? Oh baby, can't you see what that woman has been doing to me? Can't you see? Can't you see what that woman been doing to me? Can't you see? Can't you see what that woman been doing to me? Can't you see, baby? Can't you see what that woman been doing to me? Can't you see? Oh, can't you? Can't you see what that woman been doing to me?
Chaos Cartel, and that is Marshall Tucker Band's Oh Can't You See? And this is new music today on the WePodcast Network. Boys, wow, there is just something about any band that when those three-part harmonies kick in, and oh man, nailed it.
Thank you.
What is it? What
a
is
lot
it?
of work.
Right? Well, and so let me go on that then. It is a lot of work, right? Music's cool, music's fun. At the end of the day, there's still an element of there's a job to be done, right? You're going to get paid. I'm going to pay to maybe to come in and see the band. I'm going to buy the record, whatever it is. So there's still an element of I got a job to do, right? So I mean, what is that for you? Is that practicing? Is that keeping the chops up? What is that for you?
Go ahead.
All right. Well, for me personally, it's practice.
Yeah.
You never get enough any musician out there. You know,
Sure.
you just got to pick it up and you just got to keep playing and playing.
Yeah.
And anything else?
Yeah, we've been working pretty hard trying to get our we haven't played out yet, and getting our first 30 songs down was a
Right.
pretty big. I mean, that's the biggest goal right now, but
Right.
we've just been working real hard on tightening everything up
Yeah.
and gonna be prepared when we go out to do our first show.
Yeah, that'd be and tell me about the first show you got
Next weekend.
yeah, and you got a nice double bill lined
Next
up as well.
Saturday, we're opening up for All That Noise.
Nice.
At the backstage.
Great room.
Yeah, some
So-
incredible musicians,
Yeah.
some of the best players in Windsor, and isn't this band All That Noise going back to the 80s?
Right.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, there's some bunch of good guys too.
So, what makes a good room for you as a musician? What is it about? There's certain rooms that you don't want to.
Acoustics.
Yeah, it's the acoustics for you.
Yeah. Yeah, the VI had that.
Yeah.
Back in the day,
The
though.
old
Back in the day,
VI.
of course, yeah. But yeah, it's just everything sounded good in there.
Sure.
It's just
When you can feel the music too, and you can
Yeah.
hear yourself really good, it's nice to have a good sound system and
Yeah.
a pro audio man behind the board that's mixing properly, so you can.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you can hear yourself good, and you play that much better.
Yeah, and a shout out as always, Joe. Thank you for
Absolutely.
making all of us sound so good week after week on the music today. What are some as you look back over the years, you guys have been you mentioned playing one form or another since the early '90s. What are some good some back in the day, some great rooms, or even today? So just some great rooms to play in.
Well, California's and
sure.
Rum Runners were a couple of the big ones that were supporting what I call like the A circuit bands.
Mhm.
And back in the day, in the late 80s and even into the 90s, there wasn't a day that you could go throughout the week, like any day of the week, you can go watch an A circuit band, quality musicians
Mhm.
every night of the week. There's a bar that had an awesome band, and today it's not so much like that anymore.
Yeah.
If there are any bars that are even supporting, bands.
Absolutely. There's something about when you attach yourself to a bar that you just know, even if I don't know the name on the bill, it's still, if they booked them, it's going to be an awesome night, right? There's just something, and California's definitely had it. Rum Runners. Oh my God, I can't believe you
Lions
said that.
Head.
Yeah, for sure. But there are I think there are some great rooms and some great bars right now that are really going a long way to support the local scene.
Which is great to having some of these people still supporting rock and roll, because it's almost a dying art form. When you
Yeah.
listen to the radio and watch some of these award shows that are out there, you never see like the rock and roll acts. It's all
Sure.
about pop and
Yeah.
country nowadays, and
Yeah.
so it's nice to have bar owners that are still supporting the hard rock scene.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
the people that come out and watch.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah, it's a big.
I
thing.
think the other thing we're really lucky in this area is that there's enough. I think there's enough partnership between the corporate citizens, people in Windsor and Essex that really want high quality entertainment, and and whatever local governments need to clean some red tape. And what I'm really thinking about is like the amazing festivals that we've become accustomed to in this area, right? Like to me, like Blues Fest is coming up this summer, and that's just awesome. The Hogs for Hospice that's been going on out in Leamington now, going to enter into our third summer with that. And I'm finding more and more that the organizers are giving the local bands a shot to be a part of some of these stages where you've got some,
I hope so.
national touring artists.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I mean, as far as like some of these festivals, like you said, at the Blues Fest, it's always a great time,
Yeah.
always stellar acts,
Yeah.
and there's been supporting a bunch of local bands over the years, and hopefully,
Yeah.
if you got any connections, maybe we could get on the bill and possibly do something like that.
Let's see here. You guys are going to play another one of my favorites, and I love that you chose this song specifically from this band because it's kind of like the "Oh yeah, they do that song too" song, right? It's not the real big one from this band, right? The next song from our new album,
Yeah.
right? That's the big one.
Live in
from
Budokan.
That's the
Yeah.
big one from Cheap Trick, and Cheap Trick is coming to little old Leamington this summer for our Hogs for Hospice. Hogs for Hospice out in Seacliff Park later this summer. Cheap Trick's doing the Friday night rock night. Randy Hauser will do the Saturday night country night, but you guys are going to do a version of Cheap Trick. One of my favorites. This is Surrender by Cheap Trick
Very cool.
by Chaos Cartel right here on New Music Today on the WePodcast Network.
Mother told me, yeah, she told me I'd meet girls like you. She also told me, stay awake, 'cause you'll never know what you'll catch. Just the other day I heard a soldier's calling on some Indonesian junk that's going round. Mommy's alright, daddy's alright, it just seems a little weird. Surrender, surrender, but don't give yourself away. Hey, hey, hey. That's how it is. Your father says your mother's right, she's really up on things. Before we married, Mommy served in the wax and the Philippines. Now I've heard the wax recruited old maids for the war, but Mommy isn't one of those. I've known her all these years. Mommy's alright, daddy's alright, it just seems a little weird. Surrender, surrender, but don't give yourself away. Hey, hey, hey. Whatever happened to all the seasons, losers of the years? Every time I get to thinking when they disappear, then I woke up, Mom and Dad are rolling on the couch, rolling records, rock and rollin', got my Kiss records out. Mommy's alright, daddy's alright, it just seems a little weird. Surrender, surrender, but don't give yourself away. Hey, 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 surrender, alright, but don't give yourself away. Surrender, alright, surrender, alright, but don't give yourself away. Surrender, alright, surrender, alright, but don't give yourself away. Surrender, alright, surrender, alright, but don't give yourself away. Hey, hey, hey.
Great ending. Chaos Cartel and Cheap Tricks, Surrender on New Music Today here on the WePodcast Network. Is there nothing like sitting around a room with a couple of guitars and just singing?
No,
Right?
there's nothing else like it. It really isn't.
You know,
Every thought is gone, you know, and you just sit there and relax and enjoy it.
right?
having some fun, you know.
And and for me, you know, somebody asked me before we got rolling with this, you know, if I play anything, and in a room like this, the answer is always, of course, I do not play anything. So my big idea was, I know, I'll get bands and singers and stuff to just come in and play for me. It'll be awesome. It'll be my own little
living
concert.
vicariously through the musicians.
That too.
Why not?
Absolutely.
Right on.
Absolutely. I like to have a little fun with you guys at this point. So from each one of you, I want to know the first record that you ever bought. But I mean with your own money, not the first, you know, somebody gave it to you. First time you took some money and went and bought a record.
Go for it.
That'd have to be the Almighty Rush.
Nice. Yeah. Do you remember which one it was?
Very first one, Rush.
Oh,
Yeah.
Rush.
Yep.
Rush.
I started with that one.
Yeah.
And then I just continued on. It was great.
Yeah, that's kind of one of those sets the bar.
That's
set the bar
kind of one to pop your cherry with, eh? Oh my God, Jesus!
It's fun.
Yeah.
Always
go
learn
for the
something
big
new
one.
every time you listen to it.
Yeah,
This
I
is
think we're
true.
not going to be surprised with yours. I got a feeling.
I was probably in grade 7 or grade 8, and with my grass cutting money, boom boxes or whatever, ghetto blasters were just
Yes.
kind of the big thing. If you
Yep.
had one of those, you're pretty cool. Well, I had no music to go in it, and I decided to go to the record store at the mall and plop down. I think it was $6.99 on a Scorpions record, "Love at First Sting." We're gonna sting ya. My name is Klaus Schmein, Rudolf Schwenka, and Michael Schwenka, and we're from the Scorpions. We're gonna sting ya.
Well, I wish I could lie, but it's Corey Hart. Boy in the box, I think.
The boy in the
my
box.
I can't believe you admitted that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Grade 6.
Wow.
Yeah, grade 6. And
Yeah.
there's
You
something.
bought it yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The sun,
I wouldn't
yeah.
admit that either.
My sunglasses at
No.
night and Never Surrender. Never Surrender, I think, came from the second album from him. But is there, whether it's an older song or even a new song, that's okay. Is there a I want to know your guilty pleasure song that you're like, I don't care what anybody else says. I hear the
my
song, I
God.
can't get it out of my head. I love it. I'm tapping along. It's just kind of a guilty
Oh my God,
pleasure.
That's a tough question.
Yeah.
Right?
That's
It's
a
a
really
guilty
tough
question. I can
pleasure
go first.
song. Go for it. Do it.
I love listening to Slipknot.
Okay.
That's a
Sure.
guilty pleasure,
See, that's a
is it?
guilty pleasure of mine.
Okay.
Well,
But maybe something like I might not suspect from
well,
you.
I'm a big fan of jazz fusion.
Oh, okay.
These guys bust my butt for it all the time.
Sure.
They say it's kind of weird stuff, but
It
it's
is.
very much like progressive rock, but it's just in the jazz flavor.
That's a great way to put that. I like the way you put that.
It's like the Spiral Gyra or like even like Miles Davis. I just got the Bitches
Yeah.
Brew album today, and
Bitches Brew. Sure.
and so I don't admit that very often, but you can come to my house and find some JD Project local band from Windsor featuring a bunch of
Yeah.
awesome jazz musicians.
Right on.
There's fusion and
Rob,
that'd be mine. I
Right on.
guess.
Rob, you got a guilty pleasure, a song that.
Me, Keith Urban all the way.
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Forgot about
Just the
Mr.
acoustic
Urban.
aspect.
Yep.
Vocals, the way
Yeah.
he arranges everything. I just
Yeah. Is there one song that you just?
everything.
Yeah, it's all of them.
everything.
Keith Urban
Yeah,
for
everything.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything.
You definitely can't argue
He's
with that.
talented.
He's a talented individual. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, great personality too.
Good hair too.
Good question. That was a good question.
Yeah, some of the finest hair in popular music today.
What's your guilty pleasure, sir?
You know, my guilty pleasure, I'm a sucker for a pop hook. I really am.
Sure.
I'm a sucker for that one little hook. So, like for example, when I hear "Surrender" by Cheap Trick, it's that part about just before you get to the part, but you're like the mommy don't mind, daddy don't mind, and it just kind of it's
Oh, it's a hook.
it's
for sure.
not musically complicated, but it's just so cool that it grabs you. So
Powerful,
for
too.
me, it's the hook of a song that's my guilty pleasure. So just in keeping with the age in the room, I've always had a guilty pleasure for the Monkees.
Oh,
I
wow.
really kind of have,
Wow.
because it's got that, it's got that happy, you can't, I kind of can't
Wow.
help it, Daydream Believer. I'll
Okay,
say
we're
is,
learning Daydream Believer,
I'll,
and we're
I'll
gonna
say
dedicate it
that's,
to him every
Next
yeah,
time we play it. But we're
Daydream
gonna do it
Believer,
a rocked up version of it,
yeah,
though.
yeah, but not the Smash Mouth Shrek version, or
Yeah,
that I
yeah,
mean,
yeah. Yeah, we'll pass.
right. Let's get one more in from Chaos Cartel. This is their cover of Seether's "Rise Above This" on New Music Today here on the We Podcast Network.
Take the lights and darken everything around me. Call the clowns and listen closely. I'm lost without you. Call your name every day when I feel so helpless, falling down. But I'll rise above this hate. The mind regrets I'm better left unspoken. For all we know, this void will grow and everything in vain. Regrets I feel and it feels lonely. Feels so right, but I'll mend it all before it gets me. Call your name every day when I feel so helpless, falling down. But I'll rise above this. 48 ways to say when I feel so helpless, falling down. But I'll rise above this down. I'll mend myself before it gets me.
I'll mend myself before it gets me.
I'll get myself before it gets me.
I'll mend myself before it gets me.
Falling down every day when I feel so helpless, falling down. But I'll rise above this, 48 ways to say when I feel so helpless, falling down. But I'll rise above this, rise above this, rise above this, rise above this down.
Awesome. Chaos Cartel, that's Seether's "Rise Above This" on New Music Today. Let me wrap with these kind of thoughts here. What is it about playing music live? There's something about playing in your living room and it takes your mind off of things, but tell me about the buzz, the high.
It's exactly what you just said. It's an adrenaline rush. At the end of a song or end of a great night, it almost feels magical whenever when all cylinders are the engine's all firing on all 4 cylinders or 8 cylinders.
Yeah.
It's just a great feeling to have the camaraderie and like the teamwork that because everyone's given their all, and yeah.
I like you said teamwork. I mentioned it earlier when we were talking that there's still a job side of things, right? And you got to have a team to be successful at anything that you do. So sometimes I talk about this. I wonder what your take on it is. I talk about the difference between music as your life, where it's what you do versus a life with music, right? Could you Did you have a thought? Because you know you've been playing an instrument for a long time, so there was something back when you were young that made you gravitate to go. There's something about music that speaks to me.
Well, personally, for me speaking, I grew up in a musical family background, going back
Sure.
quite a few generations. So there was always music
Yeah.
in the house. You know, my dad being a bass player and a singing bass player his whole life, and you know, yeah. So there's always been music, and there's always been an instrument lying around. You know, I grew up taking classical piano when I was just a little boy, which I still regret stopping taking lessons. My parents were right that I was going to regret it when I got older. So you tell your son that to keep him in lessons, because
Yeah.
I wish I could still play.
Absolutely.
But
yeah.
so for me, that's that's what it was about growing up in our place.
Yeah.
Me, it was keeping out of trouble. My sisters
Yeah.
were older than me. They're
For sure.
11 and 12 years older than me, so
Yeah.
they had a record collection.
Yeah.
And I would just sit listening to Queen, News of the World, looking at that front cover and seeing this robot.
Right.
And I thought it was so cool.
That was so
Yeah, that
conceptual.
robot. Yeah, yeah.
I remember with the headphones
Yeah.
in, listen to this thing,
And they're all falling.
yeah, and I remember just closing my eyes and I could picture that, and I could picture myself up on stage playing that. And this was before I had a guitar in my hands, and I just
You knew
and
though.
that was my escape.
Right.
And music was it.
I hear that from people a lot too. It's like it's an escape, right?
It is definitely. And when I was growing up, I used to when I was 6 years old, I would grab the microphone and stick the cord down my pants because it was really long. So I put it down my pants, and I would just sing, you know, along with songs and everything.
Just
And-
mimic.
Yeah. Well, I'd sing
Yeah.
along with
right.
the songs, and
Wow.
my parents would one day reminded me that some of the lyrics I was saying was wrong, and it ended up I was swearing.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it. That's how young I was, but yeah, it's fun.
You know, for me, whether it's I'm listening to music or doing my my own thing on my own time with music, I think I've said this several times on the show. Music transports you back to a place and time. There is nothing like a song to make you remember that time, that girl, that guy, that trip, whatever.
Oh, so many songs I have like that where I remember exactly where I was,
Exactly.
who I was with.
Yep.
Like for one song in particular by a band called Dream Theater, a progressive band. I remember the first time I heard this song called "Pull Me Under." I was at my dad's house washing the truck. It was overcast. Like I remember every detail, and I heard that
Nice.
song on the radio.
Yeah.
I was just like, yeah. So some songs they just take you to that other place, you know.
For sure. You know, and when music grabs you at a young age, I like to give a couple of shout outs near the end of the show too. And I want to talk about one of my favorite young guys in this area. Andrew Banner does his thing with the group Hug Apparel. These are his t-shirts. Rock on, be strong. Incredible young guy. Check out his website and his Facebook stuff. And when you see him at all sorts of places selling these t-shirts, he's absolutely wonderful because he takes a portion of the proceeds of those t-shirts and he gives it back to all sorts of different charities, and he's just an absolutely wonderful guy. So and I know music means a lot to him as well, and you can tell you guys got that bug awfully early. Thank you so much for taking some time to
Thank
come
you
in
for
the
having
basement.
us. It was
Thanks
great.
for having us. Chaos Cartel. That's going to do it for New Music Today. Want to, as always, make sure that you check out one of our many shows here on WePodcast Network, up to 30 shows now that you can choose from, and one of many. Check out the We Local Sports Show as well. That's going to do it for New Music Today here on the WePodcast Network. I'm Corey Robertson.